Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into what is, honestly, the single most profound theme of the entire human experience. We're breaking down a really fascinating piece of writing called The Architecture of Resolve, Meaning Beyond Mortality. And look, I know that sounds a bit heavy, but we're going to explore how we actually find our footing, our resolve, and our ultimate meaning while staring directly into the face of our own mortality. It's a deep topic, sure, but it's also incredibly empowering. We're going to unpack the exact psychological and philosophical frameworks that separate the people who just surrender to the ticking clock of life from those who use it as fuel to build something absolutely incredible.
Okay, let's dive into this. If you're being totally honest with yourself, you've probably asked this exact question at some point, right? Why does it matter since I'm not going to live forever? I mean, it is the ultimate expression of existential dread. But it's also so fundamentally human. When we actually realize our time is finite, like when we truly grasp that our days are literally numbered, it is so incredibly easy to just throw our hands up in the air. As the source material points out, this question validates that creeping, heavy feeling that everything just turns to dust anyway. And hey, if it all turns to dust, putting in the effort kind of feels like a monumental waste of energy, doesn't it? It's a highly, highly seductive trap.
Which brings us to our first main section, the seduction of surrender. Let's take a closer look at this trap.
So the crucial point is we really need to examine this trap of quiet surrender. Why do so many of us fall into this specific cognitive loophole? Well, honestly, because letting yourself off the hook requires absolutely zero effort. This quiet surrender is essentially nihilism. It's that endless what's the point loop playing on repeat in your head. If nothing lasts, why sweat it? Philosophers like Nietzsche warned us specifically about this danger. He saw that nihilism sneaks in the very second we lose sight of our meaning. It's a low-effort mindset because it completely wipes out any sense of responsibility. If nothing matters, you don't owe the world a thing. Now, the text makes a really clear distinction here. It isn't wrong to question our mortality. That's just part of being a conscious human being. But stopping there, letting that be the absolute end of your thought process, that is exactly like giving up and walking off the field before the game even starts.
And that leads us right into section 2, finding purpose as fuel.
And this brilliantly illustrates the massive paradigm shift we need to make. We're moving away from surrender and stepping into the mindset of the strong person. It's just a stark contrast in worldviews. On one side, you have the weak person offering this low-effort shrug at existence. But on the other side, the strong person stands up with a mission. They boldly declare, I matter and what I do matters. And listen, this isn't just some fluffy positive thinking. It is an outright refusal to let the impermanence of life dictate the level of effort they bring to it. The strong person is playing a way bigger game here. They're aiming for a legacy that outlives them, knowing their actions carry real weight. And the source text points out a huge distinction. This isn't an ego trip. It's built on the profound belief that our actions ripple outward into the world, whether we're actually there to see that final wave hit the shore or not.
We can actually ground this whole philosophy in proven psychology too. The source pulls from Locke and Lotham's goal-setting theory to show us the actual mechanics of this resolve. Research proves that people who set clear, meaningful goals push harder and stick with their tasks way longer, even when the payoff is totally up in the air. Just think about how hard that is for a second. Human nature absolutely craves immediate reward. We are hardwired to want the instant gratification of seeing our work pay off right this second. To push through without that guarantee, that requires incredible fortitude. The strong person's strength isn't about physical muscles. It lies in their mental resolve to act as if their actions count, today and tomorrow. They're building systems, inspiring others, and passing down values, fully confident that these ripples are going to keep going long after they're gone.
Which brings us to the climax of our explainer, section 3, the ultimate existential twist.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because now we are stepping way beyond the basic psychology of goal setting and getting into the realm of pure, defiant action. Here is the existential curveball. The truly strong person, driven by purpose, does the job regardless of whether it actually matters in their own lifetime. They don't need that instant validation. They don't even need to be around to see the fruits of their labor. They plant the tree anyway. This perfectly echoes the absolute core tenet of existentialism. Meaning isn't something that's just handed down to you from the universe. There's no instruction manual waiting out there for you. You manufacture your meaning entirely through what you do. The work itself becomes the justification for the effort.
I'll matter even if no one notices. Just imagine the immense, quiet power required to actually adopt that stance. This is about building a school, fighting for social justice, or just raising a good family, with the full, sobering knowledge that you might not be around to witness the ultimate impact of those actions. working tirelessly for a future you will never inhabit? That is incredibly selfless. But honestly, it's also deeply defiant. It's this bold, almost rebellious act against the ticking clock. It's you asserting that your contribution is valid simply because you made the choice to make it.
And that brings us to Section 4, staring down the absurd.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it anchors all these heavy, floating philosophical concepts we've been talking about. The philosopher Albert Camus framed this exact struggle perfectly. He called it the absurd. Basically, it's the violent clash between our deep, burning human desire for meaning and the universe's apparent cold indifference to us. We're down here seeking this grand purpose, and the universe just responds with total silence. As our text explains, the weak person completely caves to this absurdity. They let that silence just crush them. But the strong person? The strong person stares the absurd right in the face and just keeps walking forward. Legacy in this context isn't about achieving some literal immortality or getting your name carved into a giant stone monument. It's about taking the effort to imprint something enduring onto a world that is inherently fleeting.
To really cement this idea, the source gives us a perfect historical anchor, Jonas Salk. Let's look at his timeline. Step 1. He had a finite life, exactly like the rest of us. Step 2. He poured his absolute all into developing the polio vaccine, and he famously refused to patent it so that the cure could reach absolutely everyone. It was the ultimate act of doing the work without seeking personal financial enrichment. And Step 3. He created an enduring echo. Jonas Salk didn't live forever. His physical timeline came to an inevitable end, but his work, that work defeated a devastating disease, and it continues to live on, literally saving countless lives to this day. The strong person bets their entire life energy on creating that exact kind of echo. Which leads to our final section, choosing to matter. So, we've explored the theory, the psychology, the historical legacy. Now this shifts to a deeply personal, actionable vision for you. What actually flips the switch? How do you move from the why bother of nihilism to the I'll make it matter of real resolve? The answer is vision, and your willingness to actively own your role in the bigger picture. When looking out at the vast unknown, the weak person sees a terrifying, empty void. But the strong person looks at that exact same unknown and sees a blank canvas. And the author makes a super vital distinction here. This isn't just blind optimism or toxic positivity. It is an active, deliberate choice. It's the conscious choice to act as if your life matters, even when the doubt inevitably creeps in. Because it will. But you are the artist, and your effort is the paint. Which leaves us with this final, provocative thought from the text. Real strength is doing the work without needing a guarantee of the outcome. You've seen how the strong person refuses to surrender, how they use purpose as fuel, and how they stare down the absurdity of a fleeting existence by planting trees for the very next generation. The canvas is sitting right in front of you. Will you choose to do the work without needing a guarantee and start building your own echo? Think about that as you go forward.